Hi, algebra students. We're going to continue our work with solving inequalities today. This lesson is on solving inequalities with multiple steps. So go ahead and grab your student journal because today's warm-up starts out with problems from your journal. So I'm going to share this screen with you and start the presentation. So grab your journal and you need to try Explorations 1, Part A, C, and E on page 43 of your journal. So pause the video and try those problems. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you got those figured out. It's very similar to solving equations that we did all in Unit 1. If you want to check your work, you can follow the link to the notes page in today's agenda. So our tips for solving multi-step inequalities are as follows. We are first of all going to simplify each side of the inequality if necessary. So there may be an instance where we need to combine like terms, or we need to use the distributive property to eliminate some parentheses, or things like that. Then we're going to use inverse operations to isolate the variable, either by adding and subtracting on both sides or multiplying and dividing. And the last tip says, be sure to reverse the inequality symbol when multiplying or dividing by a negative number. So we only do it when we multiply or divide. We don't have to worry when we're adding or subtracting positives and negatives. So let's look at some examples. These are in the extra practice on page. Looks like they start on page 46 in your journal. So this is number 1 on page 46. And we are solving 3x minus 2 is less than 10. I'm going to grab a pen. So the first thing I'm going to do, just like if I'm solving an equation, my goal is to get to x all by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 2 to both sides. And this is very much like solving an equation. You just have to remember that you have an inequality symbol and don't forget to bring it down with you. So those 2's are gone. I bring down that less than. 10 plus 2 is 12. Our next step is to divide by 3. 3 is a positive number. I don't need to worry about reversing the inequality. So I end up with x is less than 12 divided by 3, which is 4. Okay, by now we're used to graphing these. I'm going to put a 4 on the number line. I'm going to do a couple digits to the left and right. I need to put an open circle at 4 because it does not include an equal sign in the inequality, and values that are less than 4 are to the left on the number line. All right, let's look at extra practice problem number 3. This time we have some addition and some division. So I first take care of the addition part. So I undo addition by subtracting 2 from both sides. That's going to leave me with b divided by negative 3 is less than 3 minus 2, which is 1. All right, this is division. To undo division, I'm going to multiply. I am multiplying by a negative number. So I have to remember that when I multiply both sides by a negative, I need to reverse the inequality sign. So this becomes b is greater than 1 times negative 3, which is negative 3. Okay, so that's super important you remember that step. I go to my number line, I'm going to put in a negative 3. I'm going to put in a couple digits to the right and to the left of negative 3 in the number line, just so the person looking at my work can tell what's going on. I put an open circle at negative 3. I'm looking for solutions that are greater than negative 3, so any number greater than 3 would be to the right on the number line. So I'm going to draw an arrow going to the right. All right, extra practice problem number 5. Now we have a couple different ways we can do this one. If you remember with absolute value, one of the ways we simplified was to first divide both sides to get the parentheses by itself, or I can go ahead and use the distributive property. So I'm going to do that here. That gives me 8 is less than or equal to negative 4 times d, which is negative 4d. And negative 4 times positive 1 is a negative 4. All right, this time my variable's on the right, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to next add 4 to both sides. So that gives me 8 plus 4 is 12 on the left, is less than or equal to, these 4's have canceled, and I bring down my negative 4d. All right, to simplify, I divide both sides by negative 4, and when I hear myself say divide by a negative, I'm going to remember that at my next step, I need to reverse the inequality. So this turns into d is less than or equal to 12 divided by negative 4, which is negative 3. Or I can read this as negative 3 is greater than or equal to d. So I had to reverse the inequality because I divided by a negative number. So I'm going to put my negative 3 on the number line, put a couple numbers to the left and to the right. This time I have a closed dot at negative 3 because we do have that greater than or equal to symbol. And this time it says negative 3 is greater than any of the solutions. So that means this is the biggest thing. So that means all of my solutions are to the left. And remember, the arrow of the inequality does not tell you which way the arrow in your answer goes. All right, you'll still have to read the problem. All right, let's look at the next one. Okay, this time we're in number 6. This time it looks like we have some simplifying we can do. Looks like we have some variables on both sides and some constants on both sides. So I'm going to work to get my constants on the left, but again, or excuse me, my variables on the left. But remember, it doesn't matter. You just need to decide. So I'm going to have my n's on the left. So I'm going to start out by adding 4n to both sides. Then I'm going to simplify and bring down my 5. Negative 2n plus 4n is a positive 2n. And I get greater than, I bring down my 8, and my 4n's have canceled. All right, so there's my 2n, so I'm going to leave that for now, and I'm going to get these constants together. So since it's positive 5 on the left, to move it to the other side of the inequality, I subtract. I bring down my 2n is greater than 8 minus 5 is 3. I divide both sides by positive 2. Notice it's a positive I'm dividing by, so I don't reverse the inequality. And my solution is any number that's greater than 3/2. And it looks like these were just solving and we don't need to graph, so I'm just going to leave my solution like that. All right, number 8. I have negative 4p on the right, so I'm going to start out by adding 4p to both sides. I'm going to simplify as my next step. 3p plus 4p is 7p plus 4 is greater than or equal to, these are canceling on the right. I have 25 left over there. Okay, so now I work back on this side. I'm trying to get p by itself, so my next step is to subtract 4 from both sides. And you'll see this part of it's very much like just solving a multi-step equation that we did in Unit 1. It's only at the very end, if you have to graph, that you have to worry about what to do and how it's different than a regular equation. So 25 minus 4 is 21. All right, I'm going to divide by 7. 7 is a positive number. I don't need to reverse the inequality. So I bring down p is greater than or equal to 21 divided by 7, which is 3. And that's my solution. Okay, your assignment this time is 2.4. It's in your book again. On page 77, you need to do problems 3 to 16 all and 17 to 23 odd. Again, the link to the textbook pages that you need is on today's agenda. So find the calendar on Schoology, look for today's date, and you will see the link to the textbook. You have a quiz coming up on Tuesday, October 20th that will cover everything we've done in this chapter up through what we did today. So good luck and see you next time.